What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Formula. But things look different right now. Where we at, RJ?
Hey, man, we at the Content Factory.
Here it is,
Welcome.
the factory.
Welcome.
Yes. Different location, but same great content. We here.
Yes, sir.
We here. And we got somebody new today, right here, Mr. Robert Ballou. How you doing?
I am doing very well. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. So my guy Robert is a man of many talents, runs in many circles, has many gifts, and is knowledgeable about many subjects. And I'm very excited to have him on the show. I've known Robert for some time now. Somebody I can call a brother, somebody I can call a friend. And definitely want to impart a whole lot of things on what he got to say. And but Robert, tell the people more about yourself and what it is that you do.
As they say, I do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Robert Ballou is my name. That's what the government calls me, Robert Mitchell Ballou, if you look at my driver's license. I hail from Florida. I currently run a nonprofit, Move to Meditate. We encourage mindfulness through moving meditation. I'm also a professor at Miami-Dade College, teaching business courses, HR management, small business, and principles of management. So that's my short answer to that question.
Hey. Great answer. But in starting all that, what had you started on? I know you have a lot of knowledge and expertise when it comes to supply chain and business management. What got you started on that path?
Well, as a wee young lad, I graduated from the University of Florida and went to go work for a retailer. Worked retail for almost 30 years. So in the process of working retail, I learned about supply chain. So I was gifted with one of the world's greatest bosses back in spring of 1999, a gentleman by the name of Sean McGee, who introduced me to a series of books by Elijah Goldratt. It's called The Goal, Service Profit Chain, Critical Chain. Service Profit Chain was by another author, but The Goal, Critical Chain, taught project management and manufacturing process, and really how to think about a continuous process of ongoing improvement. And so I was gifted with that as a challenge. And 6 months after meeting Mr. McGee, he was like, you know what? I'm creating a position called executive analyst. So I'm going to give you projects, and you then determine what you need to solve it. So I ended up hiring a team of MBA professionals that we created a little think tank at the company, and we would be introduced problems and we would solve them. One of the most basic ones we solved was the overhead projector. Overhead projectors at the time had very expensive light bulbs in it, very, very expensive light bulbs. And we were in a meeting one day, and Sean looked at me and goes, Robert, what kind of car do you drive? I told him the car. He goes, what's more important, the headlight on your car or the overhead projector? And I was like, clearly the headlamp on my car. He goes, why does that cost $8 and the overhead projector costs $80? Our new overhead projector lights cost $10. We still sold them for $80, but we lowered the cost by just asking questions. Yeah. So that started my path to what we call supply chain management. And then I got my various certifications from the Institute for Supply Management. And as they say, the rest is history. Hey,
that's good stuff. You're working with or advising a lot of small businesses. You work with businesses on a large scale, mid scale, small scale. How impactful is it, or how important is it, or critical is it that people understand supply chain, and especially providing a product to their business, especially for small businesses who might not have the resources to hire, let's say, a consultant? But how important is it for them to understand that process in order for them to scale and grow?
Well, to answer that question, I'm going to reframe the definition of supply chain, and we're just going to call it flow. How critical is it to understand the flow? Very. If you don't understand the flow or the process of your function, how are you going to do the function faster, quicker, better, cheaper than anyone else? So understanding flow becomes important. And so we've now taken the concept of supply chain, and it's not talking about a widget going from here to there. is talking about an idea going from conception to execution. So the flow of information is the new concept of supply chain. So it's supply chain information management as opposed to product management. And every business needs to be concerned with the flow of goods and services, because it's service. They need to be concerned with the flow of their money, the flow of their people. So its flow is in every dimension. They say that a life has to be three-dimensional. The breadth, the length, and the height has to be equal, or that equilateral triangle, if you want to go there. And so if you take the equilateral triangle concept, you will find that flow is key. Because if the base is strong and the two sides match, well, now you have a strong foundation and an object that might look like a pyramid that's not going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So kind of just speaking about the flow as well, because you was talking about information, and I'm in the marketing world, so that kind of stood out a little bit. So like getting the flow as far as like information of like from the services, like what the person does to client, to using it, to how to use it, to like, is that like a big part as well?
That's the big part of it. And I'm going to steal this from yoga. So in yoga, they say the key to yoga, or the key to life, is pranayama, asana, drishti. Pranayama's breath, asana's movement, and drishti's focus. So breath, movement, focus. Well, we always want to pause and breathe so that we can enter into the engagement with our head clear. The movement is the movement, the flow. And the focus is, what are we trying to change? What are we trying to impact? So that breath, movement, focus is key. So in marketing, yes, I have to breathe so I can take time to do my market research. I can take time to do my customer orientation, so I can do a true needs assessment in that breath. What is needed? What am I going to offer? The movement is I'm offering, I'm engaging. And then the focus is, what was I trying to change in the behavior of the person I was trying to influence? Right. And so now that I've done that, it's now I take my yogic concept and I match that with Sun Tzu, The Art of War. And if I know myself and I know the person I'm trying to influence, I will win in all engagements. So I merge those two with my breath, movement, focus, knowing myself. And so when I engage in the marketing concept, I hit it out the park, because I deliver exactly what they were looking for, how they're looking for it, and they're throwing money at me to get what I'm trying to offer them.
That's all stuff.
That's a great answer.
Yeah. And definitely things as business owners are growing, the economic times are what they are now too. It is a great time to re-examine your business. Right, so you have to look at how do we grow? How do we become more efficient?
Well, I want to pause you there.
Yeah.
I never want someone to re-examine their business, because that means they weren't examining it in the first place.
Yeah.
So again, we talk about a continuous process of ongoing improvement. Continuous means continuous.
Yeah.
Ongoing means ongoing. It's not a quarterly thing. It's not an annual thing. It's a daily thing. Daily, you're looking at the numbers that matter to you. Daily, you're looking at what came in and what's going out. Yeah. It's not about 13 weeks from now, you realize you didn't pay your payroll taxes and now you got a tax bill on your hand. Well, 13 days should not have gone by without you finding that. So that concept of I am going to re-examine is setting yourself up for failure. Yeah. So I would invite everyone to restate is I examine my business on a continual basis. Just like hopefully you examine yourself. How much weight have you gained unintentionally? Yeah. How much weight have you lost unintentionally? Gaining or losing weight by accident usually is a sign of a health problem. Right? So there's concepts about health that we talk about, that in our youth we squander our health in search for wealth. And then in our old age, we spend our wealth in search for health. Yeah. Well, because they waited to re-examine. I charge you that if you don't wait to re-examine and you just stay ready, you don't have to get ready. Yeah. And that's what I would invite all business owners to do. Stay ready so they don't have to get ready. It's the getting ready part that allows your competition to pass you by.
Yeah, and that revolves around the word being proactive, right? Getting those things together, and I do see a lot of business owners, whether it be new in business or sometimes in existing businesses, that's what causes a lot of problems, not being proactive. What are some strategies that a business owner could use, or businesses can use to be more proactive in their business?
Just remember breath, movement, focus. So you don't have to be proactive if you stay active. So the movement part is activity.
Yeah.
So breathe, review, activate, that's the movement, and stay focused on what is your claim to fame. What is the problem you're solving? What is the value add that you're presenting? And stay focused on your value and be in your business and not in other people's business. Right? That's kind of the key in to be a successful entrepreneur or to be successful at anything. You know, my view, I haven't talked to Jeff Bezos. You know, we're not pen pals, but my view of Amazon started selling books. Selling books. Just selling books. Or were they setting up a market because people who buy books have disposable income? People who buy books are richer than people who don't buy books. So if you've been invited into someone's house that buys books, that same person will buy almost anything from you. And now Amazon sells everything from A to Z. So were they really selling books, or was he breathing and establishing a marketplace? That's my humble opinion of how Amazon became who they are. They focused on their customer, got them ready and appreciated home delivery. And then they were like, now that you've been buying books, we know you have money to buy other things. And by the way, we have other things as well. And I personally believe that's now why Amazon is Amazon Web Services, because that person that buys books is a mover of information. The person who buys books are heads of organizations, CEOs, CFOs. It's very difficult to become a senior leader of a multinational corporation without books, right? Reading is fundamental because it's fun to mental, right? But it's that book learning that creates an opportunity. So if you quote the right author in a business meeting, your IQ level goes up by 30 points by the people in the room. Oh, I didn't know he knew Shakespeare. You know, someone's arguing with you and you're like, I think she does protest too much. Oh, he's well learned. You quote a rap song, I don't know about him. It's the same mental power to remember a Shakespearean quote as it is a Biggie lyric. Exactly. But in some meetings, the Biggie lyric will be powerful. In other meetings, the Biggie I didn't know he was like that. You know, that's not the image that we're trying to project. But so it's having the right message, the right word for the people you're trying to influence. Again, that goes back to Sun Tzu, knowing yourself, knowing your audience, so that you can present what will resonate with the audience, that will get them to move and move the way you intend them to move.
No, that's good. So yeah, I appreciate you coming out, man, dropping gems with us, man, for real. But I want to talk a little bit like how you were saying about the business side of things and staying active, you know, always, and even like how you was talking about Amazon. It's, yeah, they started with books, but there's having that constant like feedback, you know, that constant feedback from their audience, from their clients, from the people that they're building that relationship with, and not re-examining, but constantly examining. And as a business, like, I know for us, we usually try to do that almost like weekly, you know, really after every production in a sense, right? How often do you recommend, or is there a recommendation on how often you should look at examining your business and seeing what's going on? Is it a monthly thing? Is it a weekly thing?
So a couple of things. So I'm gonna, and bear with me here. I believe language is meaningful and words matter. How often do you go out to try to start your car? Or do you go out to start your car?
Yeah, letter.
You go out to start your car.
Yeah.
You said, how often should you try? Trying something creates an opportunity for failure. So I suggest no business try anything. I suggest businesses do. You know, adopt the Nike logo. The Nike logo does not say just try it. That's Costco when you're walking around and they're passing out free samples. No, do it. Don't try. So how often could you look at their business financials? Every day. Yes, I will speak in slang on occasion. Every day. It's a daily ritual of a business owner looking at their business. Because if you're in business, shouldn't you think business all the time? You know, if I'm talking to a golfer and I ask the golfer about how often do they look at their handicap or look at their swing, it's daily. They're always talking about what they can do to maximize the utilization of their irons so that they can be closer to the green with a shorter approach shot or the right distance with the shortest putt possible so they can lower their score. That's an everyday activity for a golfer. So if a business owner isn't every day talking about or researching inside of their own business, what are things they can do faster, quicker, better? Well, they have to have a hobby that they get paid for versus being in business. That's a big difference. In business means you are in business, and a common occurrence for you is cash flow. You're looking at your cash flow. You're looking, say, hey, I'm giving these people payment terms, and I gave them 45 days to pay me. Did you realize that in today's market, that just cost you 2.5% to do that? And you didn't plan on that? And then at the end of the year, you realized that you made 2% less profit than you were forecasting? Well, you gave it away in your invoicing. So, but why did it wait 12 months for some accountant to tell you what a sixth grader could have told you on day one? So business math is not high level math. Business math is arithmetic. At best, business math is A over B equals C, doing a financial ratio. So that's algebra 1. Very rarely do you need to do calculus. And when you do calculus, that's chapter 1 of business math calculus book, which is a break-even scenario. And you can do that in Excel these days. You don't actually have to use calculus to do it. So I would invite the business owner to be a daily practice. Just like if we were talking to a religious person and they claim to be religious, I would say, how's your prayer life? If they had a good prayer life, I'll say, how's your meditation life? And if they had a good meditation life, I'd be like, how's your devotional? And if any one of those 3 was missing and they had all 3, then I would say, how's your fasting? And now if they have all 4, well, those are the 4 internal spiritual or Christian disciplines. There's 12 Christian disciplines, but 4 of them are personal. So I would ask them that. Well, business is a similar way. What's your devotional life? How have you been studying your business? What's your prayer life? How have you been talking amongst your team looking for guidance? What's your meditation life? How have you been interpreting and looking at that? And then what's your fasting? What has you given up to make the business more profitable? So I would ask them those 4 questions. And if they aren't active in those 4 areas, again, they're not in business. They're someone having fun in, but they're not a business person. So, and this transcends entrepreneurs. So if I talk to a corporate CEO or a senior executive, I'm going to have a decent answer on all 4 questions from that person because they're in business.
That's the difference. That's the difference. That's the difference. And we can't re-examine. We gotta be actively examining.
Yes.
You know, and that's a very common issue. Very common issue. I go in, people have these issues where they breach the contract or they don't know something's going on or a certain bill came up, they're getting sued for this. It's a lot of it's being I know it says proactive, but we gotta be active in that. But it's about creating plans and systems in place so those things don't even happen altogether.
It's human nature. So the forensic examiner is the person that does the autopsy. Unfortunately, most people's bodies aren't really examined until they die. That's the first time they actually have a true review of their physicality. Businesses are the same way. They fail and we call in the forensic accountant to find out what happened.
Oh man, you came with it with that one.
I'm just saying, but why not call the forensic accountant while you're happy? We call that a doctor in real life. In our personal life, that's just going to get my annual physical. Well, in your business world, yes, you should have a professional, many professionals engage with you if you're in business, because most business owners are experts in a thing or three things. But there's 26 letters in the alphabet, not 3. So if you only got 3 of the letters, you're not speaking in the language. So therefore, the business owner needs to understand what letters they represent as a subject matter expert, and then what letters they need to outsource. Oftentimes, business owners don't outsource janitorial services, the J, and they do that. And I'm like, well, why did you spend 2 hours cleaning? Your time is worth $150 an hour. You just did something you could have hired someone for $13 an hour for. So you just spent $300 to save $30. I don't know about you, Herb, but that is not good business math. How many business owners are saving $30 and costing the business millions? Millions, not even the $300. They're costing their business millions because that $300 was just the time that you did not spend out in the community selling your services. And so you missed a great opportunity because you didn't go to that networking function because you had to clean the office. I hear that a lot from business owners. And I'm like, no, outsource the J. Outsource the things that you were worth more than. Yes, I said it. You were worth more than some things.
And with that, you would have to see the value in yourself and the value in your business.
Know yourself first. Before you do anything, you have to know yourself. I rely on Sun Tzu. We didn't talk about it, but I'm a 35-year acting practitioner of martial arts. So everything I do is tainted or put through the lens of a martial engagement.
That make you a black belt? What you got?
A belt is just to keep your gi closed.
Okay.
You know, there are people who call me master, and there are people who call me professor. Just know that don't mess with me. To quote one of my favorite songs.
Run up.
To quote one of my favorite songs, you can try Jesus, but don't try me because I throw hands.
Shout out to Toby.
But in that concept of knowing yourself, when two fighters engage, within the first 30 seconds, the fighters know who's really going to win, unless something happens. And that's why in the first round of any professional fight, nothing happens. Because they're like, oh, if I do this, that person, oh yeah, and they're waiting for somebody to slip up, and that's who wins the fight. So in the business world, your customer really isn't waiting for you to slip up because they don't want you to slip up, right? You don't want the customer to slip up. So therefore, in a business world, we eliminate the first round. We get right into action. The customer is expecting you to produce. So you got to focus on your breath, your movement, and stay focused so that you can produce what your customer is expecting.
That's deep. That's deep. I like it. Man, I want to ask more questions, but you gave me so much to think about. Well, that's beautiful. That's beautiful, and how so many things are interconnected. You know, so if we aren't examining ourselves and we're not knowing ourselves, again, you can't change what you're not measuring. We're not measuring ourselves against some sort of standard, whether it be religious, business, or a personal code, whatever that is. Then it's going to be hard for us to place us into situations that need to be examined again because we're not doing that within ourselves, and that's business. That's about a success.
Well, it's the business of life, and you say interconnected, but nature is genius. So you're sitting there saying, well, I don't know how to do a process map. Well, I've never done a process map. Well, I would pause you and say, well, yes, you have, because when you were in first grade or even second grade, you started to learn the diagram of sentence, to take the subject versus the verb. And then if you never learned the diagram of sentence, I'm going to say, go get yourself a leaf and flip it over, and there's a process map diagram right on the back of the leaf. because it is interconnected. So, and if you don't know how to do something, there's this wonderful thing called Google, YouTube, as well as friends and family. Yeah. So, you know, we talk about that the divine is omniscient or all-knowing. Well, there's the divine in us. And we have the capability of being all-knowing if we just ask the right person the right question. So I tell people when they say, Robert, how do you know so much? Well, I don't know so much. I know so many people. I've had great teachers come into my life and teach me things that I didn't know I needed to know. So that when you ask me a question, I give you an answer. It wasn't my answer. Yeah. I got that answer from Frankie. Yeah. I got that answer from Philip. Yeah. I got that answer from Johnny. I got that answer from Sally. I got that answer from someone when I asked the question and they responded. So just like, you know, anyone that has the ability to speak and to read, we all have the capacity or the opportunity to know everything that we need to know. And in your business world, you have the capacity to know everything because you have the capacity to outsource. Yeah. I am a big fan of outsourcing or hiring. And again, when I say outsourcing, I mean engaging with this person on a contractual relationship because you can't afford them year round. Yeah. So get the right person for the right task. You might pay them the same rate you would have paid the wrong person for the whole year, but they gave you bad information. So take that 20 grand that you were paying this person a little bit each week and give the 20 grand to the professional that in 4 hours can add value to your organization. Yeah. And too often, again, penny wise, pound foolish. You won't hear me say anything that's new. The bread has been sliced and the wheel has been rolling for thousands of years. I am not here to present anything new. I'm here to present old in a revolutionary way. Period. Yeah. Just reminding people that they using their known knowns to find the unknown is a secret in business. I like it. But how do you find, you know, the secret or the unknowns? You first have to know something because ignorance does not lead to wisdom. You got to start with some wisdom to have more wisdom. Yeah. So just like the good book says, young man, get wisdom and get all of it. Well, get some and then incrementally more will be given to you. Yeah. But if you hold on to ignorance, you will have ignorance all day, every day. Yeah. And unfortunately, many business owners start their business dumb, run it dumb, and then I'm going to say they don't even sell it dumb. It just goes out of business. Yeah. You know, so they didn't even get the opportunity to cash out. They just petered out because they didn't bring wisdom to it.
So in bringing in that wisdom, we see that it's valuable to delegate. We see that it's valuable to bring in people who have knowledge that you don't have. A lot of times I see the fear in entrepreneurs is the money, right? So the fear of, even if you are charging somebody $100 an hour, $50 an hour, $300 an hour, $1,000 an hour, whatever the case may be, in order, like you're saying, like if I'm charging, example, like you said, like $150 an hour, and it takes me 2 hours to do a janitorial task, but I could have paid somebody $50 to do that. The fear is in paying that $50, right? That they don't value that they can go out and make more in that exchange, if my question made any sense.
Well, let's talk about fear. Frankly, everyone already ran. That's what fear is. Everybody else already ran away. So fear is a natural reaction of a coward. A brave person sees something that's fearful and steps forward. Yeah. So you have to be brave to be successful. The fearful person is shuddering in a corner, and that's where in certain scriptural texts they'll talk about the scriptural person was giving a talent and they buried it for fear of losing it. But the other person that was given 2 or 3 talents invested it, made more money, and then when the master came, it was like, oh, you good and fruitful servant, and this fearful one, let me take your talent and give it to the other one. Right? That's in the book. Yeah. Being fearful is not a strategy of success, period. So if you find yourself being fearful, just know that you are setting yourself up to be unsuccessful. That's all I really can say about fearful. Yeah. Fearfulness is a synonym or it's leading you down the path of being unsuccessful. So if you want to be unsuccessful, be fearful. Yeah. And if you want to be successful, be courageous. I didn't say be stupid. Yeah. I said be courageous, right? So you charge someone $500 an hour, and you know that you charge them for 4 hours worth of work. Well, during that 4 hours, it would be stupid of you to do something that you could have outsourced somebody else to do for $15 an hour. Yeah. So that's stupid, not fearful, because you already have the engagement. Yeah. So and this is where I get in trouble because it sounds crass and it hits on people emotionally. Most people aren't fearful. Most people are being stupid. Yeah. And so if you look at all the things that you're doing stupid, just say, be less stupid tomorrow. So you write down, these are all the things that I did that were not bright. Yeah. You know, I sent my cousin the $50 that I know I ain't never going to get back. I probably should have sent him 20 because I could have afforded to give the 20. And I'm using small numbers. Usually it's thousands, right? Yeah. But yeah, that was stupid of me because I know I'm never going to get that back. Yeah. Right. So you identify the things that you're doing stupid and you have a strategy to do less stupid stuff in the future. Yeah. You know, because I'm not saying that I'm not saying I've never done something stupid. I'm going to do something stupid later today. I'm pretty sure of it. Yeah. But when I analyze it, I'm going to be like, how do I develop a strategy to be less stupid in the future? Because again, most business owners aren't fearful because if they were fearful, they wouldn't be a business owner in the first place. That's true. Right. So it's hard when I hear a business owner saying, I was afraid or I was fearful. I'm like, you wasn't afraid. If you was afraid, you would still be working at Burger King. Yeah. You said bye to that corporate job 6 years ago where you were making more money than you're making now. Come on now. You're not fearful. Yes, you're just being stupid. Okay. Yeah. But don't tell them I said that. You'll help me out on that. I mean, it aligns in with a lot that I say. Even the name of my firm, First Step, that is the hardest thing to do. Is to actually start. That's that first step out there to jump off that cliff, to take that first step on that journey. That's the hardest part. So here's how you take the first step. Yeah. You breathe. You pause and you're like, what is going on with me? Why am I thinking about stepping? What background do I have? What skill sets do I have? Oh, okay. So now what does the first step look like? What does that pose look like? What does that posture? What is that movement? Well, let me take that movement. So I breathed, I refocused, I went into my movement, and now I am continually focused on my breath and my movement. And that is the secret of yoga. We call that Tristana. When those three things engage, you have the opportunity to move your energy forward. Yeah. When those three engage in your business, you have an opportunity to move forward. And so that's how in my organization, we suggest that we bring mindfulness into everything that we do. Mindfulness is not a thing that you do on the mat. Yeah. I really don't want a mat because people then think they can only do yoga while standing on a mat. No, you can do yoga while sitting down. Hopefully you're doing yoga while engaged in business because you're breathing, you're focusing on your action, and you're continually being focused. That's called the flow. That's what Goldratt talked about in his last book. Actually, his daughter wrote his last book, and it's called The Flow. It's about getting into that flow where you see what's happening. Life is happening full speed, but you see it in slow motion. And you can anticipate because you've been there before and you've been so practiced that you know what's getting ready to happen. And the beautiful thing is you're so practiced that people around you see what you're getting ready to do. The customer's like, oh, I know Gary's going to step up and take care of this. I don't even have to call him. And then you do it, and the customer's like, I knew you would take care of me. Yeah. And that's the flow, right? So that's the secret that's that secret sauce. Again, breath, movement, focus. Those three create the opportunity to propel you forward. And it gives you that resource to continue to examine yourself for stupidity, to weed it out, because we all are innately stupid. We were born stupid, right? We were born with an empty brain, clean slate. Our job is to fill it up, but know that we will make those mistakes, but know that they're okay because I have fallen, but I can get up. Failure is, or the word fail, first attempt in learning. If you've never failed, you most likely didn't learn. And that's one of the reasons why so many people are so stupid in their business. They started their business, they reached a certain level of success. They never risked anything, and they never failed. So they didn't have to learn anything new. And so it's that opportunity to learn. What I encourage people is don't wait for failure to learn, because that could be painful. Yeah. Don't go bankrupt before you learn how to manage your business. Yeah. So learn how to manage your finances while you still have money. And it's a better lesson than what many of us learned to manage money when we lost money.
Yeah.
So imagine a world that we learn to manage while we still have.
Yeah.
It will be a much softer landing because you actually don't land.
Yeah.
You just keep flying high.
Something you said just really stuck on me. Like you said, do yoga while you're sitting down. What can we do sitting down right now? A little something.
You can. So theoretically, you are breathing right now. Theoretically. RJ, not so much because he's leaning forward, so he's collapsing his diaphragm. So it's harder for him to breathe.
Teach us how to breathe. Put it on.
I'm not teaching you how to breathe. That's $14.95. I don't give away. I don't ask you for legal services. This man right here. No, you visit my website and we'll teach you how to breathe. This person.
Hey, I try to do what I can for the audience, to try to get something out of you.
So what I would remind the audience is to be childlike. Because children know how to breathe. Children know how to be quizzical. Children know how to learn. Adults don't know how to breathe. Adults believe asking questions will make them appear stupid, even though not asking the question makes them stupid. And adults tend to not learn new. So a child knows how to breathe and breathes. So watch your child and see how they breathe through their belly. They breathe in the belly versus breathing with the chest. We adults breathe with the chest, and that creates anxiety. And we don't know, why am I so anxious? Well, because when you're in a fight, you're going to breathe in your chest because you're in a fight. But if you're not in a fight and you're breathing with the chest, you're creating anxiety when none needs to happen. Yeah. So that's why I say deep breathe. Breathe through the belly and allow your lungs to fill to capacity, and allow the blood to get oxygenated so that your heart can send that good blood to your body, right? Because that's why we call it the heart breath. We don't really breathe with our lungs. Yeah. Our lungs oxygenate our blood, and our heart pumps that fresh blood, and that blood of life. There's healing in the blood. Literally, there's healing in the blood. And when we don't breathe fully, we limit the healing of the natural body.
I'm with you. So even from that, so this transition from doing a lot of different things in business, you see the congruency and reflections of that in life and spirituality. What got you on the path of the spiritual side of things when you go into your yoga?
Can I curse in this podcast?
We're gonna bleep it out, right?
Okay, I for 40 years of my life was the most effervescent and ever-loving asshole. I was Dick Magnus, and I prided myself on being a jerk, just as And I worked for a company and had jobs that rewarded me for being jerky. Working in procurement or merchandising, so negotiating with suppliers, I was the guy that could always get the deal, right? But I carried that through all parts of my life. So I was just a jerk. So when the young lady comes and says, I'm done with you, and you find yourself in therapy saying, what happened? How did I go from being, from a societal perspective, successful in everything, but successful in nothing at the same time? So when I was saying it would be great if we could learn to manage before we lost everything, I'm the guy who lost everything. And so in that, while I'm in therapy for 2 years, realizing that I have a choice and I don't need to be this way. I don't need to have this orientation of anyone else's gain is at my fault, at my loss, and that I have to protect anything that I have because it's a zero-sum game. And so coming out of therapy, it was like, okay, now how do I develop a practice or a lifestyle that will allow me to not re-engage my high-level skill of being a jerk, right? Because once you're skilled at something, it's easy to go back to that skill. Yeah. So how do I develop a strategy to avoid or limit my jerkiness? Well, that became yoga. That became Zen Buddhist meditation. That was a relearning of the basis of my martial art. So I had perfected the art of being a jerk. And so then I had to perfect the art of not being a jerk. So that's where meditation came in, because meditation, as we talked about before, is one of the 4 internal spiritual disciplines. So Richard Foster has the book of Celebration of Disciplines. So the 4 inner disciplines are prayer, meditation, study, and fasting. And so I realized that I had not been meditating, right? Even though Joshua 1:8 says, this book of the law thou shalt meditate on day and night. And so when I went to learn to meditate, ironically, I found myself in a Zen Buddhist temple because they had a meditation evening. And so I then spent time with them and realized that what they were doing was, I had been doing a version of that in karate for at that time 25 years and just didn't know what we were doing. It was just an empty space in class. And so then I was able to fill that content. So an aside is kind of the joke of karate is karate was meaningful when it was in China as Kung Fu. And it was meaningful when it was in India as Kalipa. And it was meaningful when it was in Okinawa as Te. But when they took karate to Japan, they called it empty hand. Mm-hmm. It was void of substance. So the karate that I learned that came from Japan was empty. And so when I was at the Zen Buddhist temple, I was like, oh, this adds context and fills the void of this empty techniques that I've been doing. And so then doing that on a daily practice, I learned to, as they say, control the monster within, and to, at the end of the day, learn that I was lovable and that I could love myself. And so that then started me on the path to helping other people who had a high-level skill set to be jerky. Not saying that anyone was as skilled as I was, but there are those people out there that are still skilled at being jerky. And so the hidden goal of Moving to Meditate is to help, especially people like me or people that used to be like I used to be like, to be more like someone that their loved ones could love. So teaching them to be lovable and loving. And so the concept of the mantra that I got from one of the foundations I used to work for is we listen, learn, and love. So that's now my concept. I listen to the people I'm engaged with. I learn from them, and I learn what their definition of being loving is. And then I demonstrate that, because love is an action verb, right? So that second step in business is breathe, act, or what's your movement, and stay focused. That ties into my personal relationships too. I breathe, learn from them, go into action, and stay focused on taking care of their emotional needs, as opposed to feeding from them as the great vulture that I used to be would do.
Yeah, man. Hey, man, I really appreciate you being here for real, man, because the information that you're giving to us, it's like I say it like this, it's like reading a book, right? Like a lot of times when I'm reading books, it's like I'm learning definitions to things that I'm already doing, right? It's like, oh, that's what it is that I'm doing. oh, this is how I'm processing things. Oh, this is that, you know? So like that's kind of like what it is, like sitting here talking with you is like, and you're hitting so many different levels, even from meditation, prayer, all these different things. So I hope that the viewers are definitely being able to just take in this information, because it's like just listening, just being able to just listen and absorb some of this information, and like is definitely I'm going to definitely watch this and use a lot of this information from today, man. So and even with saying that, it's like you said you was a jerk before, and now you're like at that space where you just giving knowledge and giving information and things like that. Like, how do you then, like, you know, refill yourself? Because you're like, even with just sitting down with us today, man, like, how is it that you're able to, like, you know?
So let me ask you the question.
Yeah.
How often does the sun go out to fill itself?
Don't, right? Fire stay burning.
You don't have to get ready if you stay ready. So the beauty of a practice life of meditation and mindfulness is you don't run Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. You don't get hot and get cold. You stay the sun. I shine bright. You know, I am the candle on the hill that's lit, and I'm not covering up my light, and I have enough oil so the light's not going to go out. Because by breathing, I constantly breathe. I don't wait to breathe. I breathe now. I don't wait to do what I do now, and I don't wait to focus. I focus now. I am all here now, so therefore I stay lit. You don't have to relight the pilot light if it's already lit. So I advise or invite people to, we talk about in the Judeo-Christian faith, to let people see God, see the sun through you. In yogi faith, we say you are a guru, you're holding up the light. So you're a beacon. Well, the beacon, if it goes out, that's trouble for all the people that are following it. So my concept is I spent the time to light the light. Once the light is burning, it's going to stay burning. So I used to have to recharge because I wasn't being authentic. And if you have to recharge, it's an opportunity to review yourself. Because if you're recharging, it means that you weren't getting fed while you were doing. And so what were you doing that you weren't getting fed? So even someone that runs a marathon, you will see them running a marathon with 14 gel packs, and they stop and get food. No one runs a marathon anymore from beginning to end without eating something. Because why do you need to do that? So gone are the days that I have to suffer, you know, in order to progress. No, life is not suffering. You know, that's what Buddha said. Buddha said life is suffering, but then he got enlightenment and stopped suffering. I'm just saying stay enlightened. As soon as you see suffering, that means you went into a dark place. Because suffering doesn't happen when you're with the divine. My view of that is for those that study the Geo-Christianity, specifically Judaism and Christianity, and study Genesis and look at Adam and Eve in the garden. It was utopia because they were connected and in communion with the divine. And they experienced hell on earth when they got kicked out. And therefore, many people believe we're still experiencing that hell on earth because we're disconnected. What I'm proposing is we reconnect our head to our heart. We reconnect and stop running around like a chicken with our head cut off. And we connect our mind and our heart and be a full, unified being. And truly be all of ourselves here in this moment, experiencing joy, love, peace, and happiness. Now, and do that every moment and never leave it so we don't have to get back to it. Never stop analyzing our business so we have to reanalyze. Never stop loving our spouse so we have to reconnect. Never go on a reconnection weekend. Get connected on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Any day that ends in Y is an opportunity to reconnect with your spouse or to stay connected to your spouse so you don't have to reconnect. And likewise, stay connected to your employees if you have employees. Keep them engaged. And every statistic that we've seen has an engaged employee being a more productive and a more valuable employee. So keep them engaged. Don't re-engage them. Keep your spouse engaged. You stay engaged in life so you don't have to get back into it.
Yeah, man. Hey, with that, that's the formula. Appreciate you being here. RJD, Content Factory. Yes, sir. So the formula where the constant is you. Yeah.